Tonight on NewsWatch, more than 1,000 are injured after a meteor shatters in the skies. The latest on the blast that rocked Russia.
Plus, the president is pushing for a raise in the nation's minimum wage. We'll tell you why some say that would hurt the economy.
And how Judea and Samaria play a crucial role in the future of Israel's security as well as its past. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Wendy Griffith. A meteorite burst through the atmosphere over Russia, injuring more than 1,000 people. It happened in Siberia, and it was all captured on video.
And on top of that, Wendy, a big asteroid hurled through space today, missing Earth by what's being called a cosmic inch. John Waggy has tonight's top story.
Car dashboard cameras and phones captured video of the meteorite, a blinding flash of light streaking across the sky, and then chaos as fragments slammed into the ground. Witnesses say they thought a war had broken out. The meteorite shattered windows and damaged buildings. It knocked down a wall at this zinc factory. Russia's Ministry of Emergency Situations confirms nearly 1,000 people were injured, mostly from broken glass. Yekaterina Malikova was in geography class and saw a flash. She says that after the flash, nothing happened for about 3 minutes, and then we rushed outdoors. I was not alone. I was with my friend Katya. The door was made of glass. A shockwave hit us. Yekaterina suffered facial wounds. The Russian Academy of Sciences estimates the meteorite weighed about 10 tons and entered the Earth's atmosphere at a speed of at least 33,000 miles per hour. It was extremely cold in this part of Russia, below zero, and schools closed after the windows were blown out. About 20,000 troops moved to the scene, as well as 3 aircraft which are examining the damage from the sky. Scientists say the meteorite was not related to an asteroid that flew dangerously close to Earth today.
I mean, this is much smaller than the big asteroid that's about to pass us this evening, right? So these much smaller meteorites, which are observed to hit the ground, they happen hundreds of times every year, but only several times a year are they actually seen to fall by people, and very rarely do they do any damage.
Not so for the asteroid. If it had struck the wrong place on Earth, a chunk of space rock big enough to level a city hurtled toward our planet 8 times faster than a speeding bullet. Scientists say the asteroid zoomed past Earth at over 17,000 miles per hour and only 17,000 miles from our planet. The 130,000 metric ton asteroid called DA-14 is the size of half a football field, and it was much closer than the moon. The last close call turned out to be a direct hit. In 1908, an asteroid blew up over the middle of Siberia, destroying 1,000 miles of trees, but fortunately didn't kill anyone.
I think the big story is that we saw this a year ahead of time. So we're in an era now that we have good enough observatories, we have observing programs that can actually see asteroids that might hit the Earth long before they approach.
The asteroid was too dim to see with the naked eye, so scientists used ground-based telescopes to observe DA-14. John Waggy, CBN News.
Incredible news. Well, in other news, more than half of the U.S. diplomatic posts overseas may not fully meet security standards. That's according to a senior U.S. official at the State Department. He told a House committee today that of the 283 diplomatic posts around the world, nearly 160 of them have not been updated to meet current security standards. The issue of embassy security has been under scrutiny since last year's deadly attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya.
Senate Republicans blocked a vote to confirm Chuck Hagel as Secretary of Defense last night. Democrats say it's the first time a nominee has been filibustered. Republicans argue they're seeking more information from Hagel and that Senate Leader Harry Reid is rushing the vote.
This is not any attempt to kill this nomination. This is not a filibuster. I realize that's the headline that the majority leader would like the newspapers to write. We actually had some very reasonable discussions going on earlier today among senators on the Democratic side and Republican side to try to work this out.
Republicans say they still have concerns about Hagel's past statements on Iran and Israel, among other issues. They also want to know if he accepted compensation from radical groups.
The House is voting to block a pay raise for federal workers proposed by President Obama. A pay freeze on the nation's 2 million civilian federal workers would save $11 billion. Conservatives say well-compensated federal employees can afford it. The legislation is expected to pass the GOP-led House.
Not long ago, American manufacturing was the envy of the world, but the United States has lost millions of those jobs in just the last decade. President Obama says he wants to bring some of those jobs back, and some groups in the private sector are doing their part as well. Jennifer Wishon has the story.
Even the framing for the graphic pieces that we have here, we were able to get done in the United States.
The architect of this new office for the Alliance for American Manufacturing was given a scary task: use only materials and products made in the USA.
I think he and his team were terrified at the beginning that they wouldn't be able to find anything.
It became a treasure hunt that yielded an American gold mine. Virtually everything, the furniture, flooring, appliances inside this office, were made in America.
And you said even down to the nuts and the bolts.
That's right, even the nuts and the bolts. The furniture that we have is made by a company called Watson Desking in the state of Washington. The glass on the outside of the offices, the windows, were all made in America.
And on only a few occasions did the organization spend more to buy American.
So we have big industrial lighting made in California here. We left the ductwork exposed. Even we know the plywood and the wood has made in America stamped right on it.
While seeking re-election, President Obama set a goal to create 1 million manufacturing jobs in his second term.
So this gets brought in, this big chunk of metal.
Now that his second term is well underway, he's pushing proposals to boost manufacturing. But Paul says they fall woefully short of the president's campaign rhetoric. Even if America does add 1 million jobs in 4 years, it's still just a drop in the bucket when you consider the nation has lost nearly 6 million manufacturing jobs in the last decade.
When you create manufacturing jobs, generally speaking, you're also creating jobs in other sectors, because the higher paychecks, the type of supply chains that are needed for manufacturing. So it has a positive effect on communities all over the country, even if they don't necessarily have a factory in their town.
Then there's the more than $300 billion trade deficit with China.
So that's, roughly $25 billion a month, which is just an extraordinary amount of wealth draining out of this country. And that's not easily recoverable.
The good news? There's growing consumer demand for products made in America.
I do know this. A lot of these companies wouldn't be spending $8 million on an ad in the Super Bowl to advertise it as made in America if they didn't think it was going to sell.
The Alliance for American Manufacturing is tracking the president's goal of 1 million manufacturing jobs. He still has a long ways to go. Meanwhile, Paul hopes his office proves to Americans, with a little research, it's possible to create a hip space made in the USA. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.
President Obama is launching a new campaign to hike the federal minimum wage. In his State of the Union address, he says he wants it raised from $7.25 to $9 an hour.
He took his idea on the road this week, but critics say the move would actually hurt small businesses and the economy. The president talked up his most controversial new proposal in Asheville, North Carolina.
It's time for an increase in the minimum wage, because if you work full-time, you shouldn't be in poverty.
The White House says raising the minimum wage to $9 an hour would boost wages for 15 million Americans making the minimum or just above, lifting many of them out of poverty and helping to revive the economy. Lucas Case of Henderson County, North Carolina, makes minimum wage. He's on board with the president's plan.
Well, it's not fun living paycheck to paycheck. We'll do more things, have a better life.
The boost would be enough to lift at least some people out of poverty. A full-time minimum wage worker earns $14,500 a year. For a single parent with a child, that's below the federal poverty line. $9 an hour means an annual salary of $18,000, slightly above the poverty level. However, critics say the move would hurt the unemployment rate because employers won't be able to hire as many workers.
When you raise the price of employment, guess what happens? You get less of it. Why would we want to make it harder for small employers to hire people?
North Carolina's small business owner Daniel Robinson agrees.
With me, I just have to cut employees. It'd be me. I'd have to come down here, and work, open and close by myself, and just do everything, because that's the only way you can afford it.
Opponents of raising the minimum wage point to the unemployment rate among young people. Youth unemployment increased to 15% after the minimum wage went up 6 years ago, and it's now at nearly 24%, much higher than the overall unemployment rate. The president does face a tough battle from Congress on raising the minimum wage. Republicans say raising it will only send the unemployment rate higher when hiring people becomes more expensive for employers.
The three-city tour following the president's State of the Union speech ends in his hometown. The minimum wage topped his afternoon speech at Chicago's Hyde Park Academy. But residents were more concerned about his ideas to end the city's deadly surge of gun violence. Ephraim Graham has this report from Chicago.
Chicago is now the country's murder capital.
I don't know. It's out of hand. It's almost like it's a war in itself in Chicago. It really is.
Monica Russell's 18-year-old son, David, was shot and killed while walking home from school. 4 years later, there's still no arrest, and the city's violence is worse. But Russell is hopeful the president's visit will help to turn things around.
That's all I can be, is hopeful. Whether it will happen, I don't know.
The president's visit comes nearly a week after the First Lady returned to Chicago for the funeral of Hadiya Pendleton. The 15-year-old was shot and killed at this park, only a mile from the Obama Chicago home, and just days after she performed with her school's marching band for his inauguration festivities. Her death sparked national headlines and these calls.
You went to Tucson. You went to Connecticut. Now come to Chicago.
The president's return home here to the Windy City is the answer to a call from many community activists. Still, there are some who say the president's visit isn't the real answer to the gun and gang violence plaguing the city.
When the president was senator, we had over 900 shootings and murders here before he became president.
Andrew Holmes began reaching out to victims and their families years ago, not long after he was caught in the crossfire of a gangbanger. He says the answer is for others to do the same.
We have to get out here, go door to door in this community, in this city, east, north, south, and west, inside these schools, as a whole, community organization and group, and grab hold to a lot of these children and a lot of these families, show them some love, bond, and get them some help.
Ephraim Graham, CBN News, Chicago.
And coming up, passengers aboard that crippled cruise ship have finally made it to land. What they're saying about their days at sea. CBNNews.com. News you want, when you want, 24/7. Stay current with up-to-the-minute stories.
Ephraim Graham, CBN News, New York.
I don't have to wait for my news anymore.
CBNNews.com at your fingertips all day long.
I only watch the stories I want to see.
I find the story, I click on it, and boom, I'm there.
Embassy in Washington, Eric Stackelbeck, CBN News.
The source for your news, CBNNews.com.
Listen up for an amazing offer that can change the way you hear.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you repeat that?
Frustrated with your hearing?
What did he say?
Well, hear better now. Introducing the fully rechargeable MSA 30X, a revolutionary device that features the latest microsound amplification technology that can barely be seen. Independently tested to help you hear up to 30 times better. It turns ordinary hearing into extraordinary hearing. MSA 30X works by capturing and amplifying sound waves, yet its lightweight ergoacoustic design is discreet. It form-fits in and around either ear.
I forget I'm even wearing it.
And MSA 30X is powerful. Hear clearly in restaurants. Never miss another word on TV or at the movies.
My wife complains that I have the volume up on the TV too loud.
And I didn't want to be in the same room with them.
Now I can hear everything clearly.
Simply adjust the volume as you desire. Other units use so many batteries and they're difficult to change. But the MSA 30X is completely rechargeable. Simply plug it into the wall.
I tried other devices that had batteries, but they were always such a pain to change and so costly. But this is rechargeable, so I figure I save hundreds a year.
Bulky sound amplifiers can cost hundreds, but try MSA 30X for just $59.95 and we'll include a cleaning brush and 5 comfort tips. But wait, in this special TV offer, we'll cut the price in half. Now you can hear up to 30 times better for just $29.95. But there's even more. We'll double the offer free. Just pay additional processing and handling. Wear them both or give one to a loved one. Did you hear that? That's 2 MSA 30Xs for just $29.95. The MSA 30X Hear Better Now offer. Get 2 for just $29.95.
All I can say is just try it. It could change your life.
To order the MSA 30X sound amplifier, call 1-800-535-0654. That's 1-800-535-0654. Or you can go to MSA30X.com. Call or go online now.
Welcome back. The global Christian charity Mercy Ships will be featured on CBS's 60 Minutes this Sunday. It will highlight life-changing medical procedures performed on the vessel Africa Mercy. The ship has 6 state-of-the-art operating rooms, an intensive care unit, and beds for nearly 80 patients. Mercy Ships serves the poor in more than 70 countries, providing services from cleft lip and dental care to orthopedic procedures valued at more than $1 billion. In 2009, CBN followed Mercy Ships during a mission to West Africa. See that story and more at cbnnews.com.
Well, the nightmare is over for passengers of that Carnival cruise ship that spent 8 days stranded at sea. The Triumph docked in Mobile, Alabama overnight. More than 3,000 passengers spilled out, eager to be away from the sewage-flooded halls, food shortages, and other unsanitary conditions. Some passengers are just relieved to be home. Others are infuriated by the cruise company's reaction to the crisis.
I'm just happy to be alive. It's quite an ordeal, but we're here.
He can say, oh, yeah, we know how you feel. No, you don't. You were not there. You did not go many nights wondering, what are you going to eat when you wake up in the morning? What are you supposed to do? You can't contact your family. You can't do anything.
A fire triggered the power outage that led to the crisis. Passengers were given a full refund, $500 in cash, and a voucher for a free cruise in the future. Not bad.
Yeah. Up next, a law in Israel that's demanding Jews move from their homes.
Ow, my feet hurt. My feet hurt, your feet hurt. White hot pain, I wanna cry. Is there anything I can try?
Why, yes! Introducing Strut Soul Angels, the human shock absorber that helps alleviate foot pain.
The first 10 steps in the morning to the bathroom were excruciating. Within 3 days after I put Struts on, it's been such a relief.
Slipped it on and almost immediately I felt a support, kind of like a pillow underneath my arches.
The Struts Soul Angel provides a great amount of relief and support throughout the course of the day, providing shock absorption and relief of pain.
On your feet without proper support can be painful. Strut Soul Angels promotes better balance, control, and body alignment. Standing in your heels all day is painful, but slip on Struts and you'll enjoy comfort and support 24/7. Struts is so versatile, you'll wear them in every shoe you own, even barefoot.
I'm on my feet all the time. I teach 11 and 12-year-olds. The pain was so much that I knew I had to do something. And with the Struts, I can do my job and enjoy my job.
I usually am on my feet from 8 to 12 hours a day. When I wear my Struts, it's like giving my feet a hug all day.
It's life-changing. I wear them from the minute I get up to the minute I go to bed.
Why pay $400 for custom orthotics?
Now get Strut Soul Angels for just $10. You also get Miracle Foot Repair Cream, absolutely free. Use it to help relieve dry, calloused feet overnight. But wait, call right now and we'll double the offer free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Plus, you get a 100% money-back guarantee. If not completely delighted, send it back. But keep the foot cream as our gift just for trying. You get it all. A $70 value for just $10.
Oh, yes! Love my Struts, love my Struts. The best thing since sliced bread. They heal pain from toes to head. Get yours now, your doctor said.
Struts. Be nice to your feet. Call now.
Call 1-800-787-1580 and get your Struts and Miracle Foot Repair for just $10 and we'll double the offer. That's 1-800-787-1580 or visit getstruts.com.
Well, the world calls it the West Bank, but the 350,000 Israelis who live there still use its biblical name, Judea and Samaria.
The UN claims these settlers are a key obstacle to Middle East peace and their land should go to the Palestinians.
But as Eric Stackelbeck explains in tonight's Focus Report, that land plays a crucial part in Israel's security and its biblical heritage.
500,000 Israelis uprooted from their homes. According to a recent UN report, international law demands such a move. The report called for Israel to evacuate all existing settlements and dismantle Jewish communities in the eastern half of Jerusalem. The UN considers all these neighborhoods illegal settlements that will one day be included in a Palestinian state. Global pressure to hand this territory over to the Palestinians mounts against Israel by the day, including tough words from the Obama administration. Yet on a recent tour of Judea and Samaria, CBN News found a much different picture than what is often portrayed in the media and world forums.
The population is growing. We're growing 4 times greater, 5 times greater than the national average in Israel.
David Haivri is spokesman for the Shamron Regional Council in Samaria. He says a growing number of Israelis are relocating to the area for the same reasons Americans move from the city to the suburbs: family-friendly communities, fresh air, and land at affordable prices.
Young families who wish to establish themselves and raise children look around and they say, where are our kids going to get a good standard of living? It's a beautiful scenery. We're up here on the mountain. We have great weather. It's cool in the summer. The prophets promised that the children of Israel will return to these mountains and rebuild these Jewish cities and Jewish towns, and that's what's happening.
While Haivri, like many here, is an observant Jew, 60% of those living in Samaria are secular. Ariel University is the region's educational hub, and its 16,000 students come from all over Israel. Arab students here are free to wear Muslim religious attire, and they study alongside Jews. We found a similar story at the nearby Barkan Industrial Park, home to some 150 businesses where Israelis work side by side with their Palestinian neighbors.
An Arab working in these businesses, in these factories, makes double or 3 times as much in some cases as he would make working for the Palestinian Authority in the Palestinian areas, and the ability to move up the ladder into a supervisory or a management position.
But life here is not without its challenges. The Jewish communities of Samaria are frequent targets for Palestinian terror attacks. The 2011 massacre of Udi and Ruth Fogel and 3 of their small children in the Samarian town of Itamar was one horrific example. They were murdered in their sleep by 2 local Palestinians. Further south, in the Judean city of Hebron, the situation is also difficult.
During the Second Intifada, we were shot at for 2.5 years here. There are still terrorist attacks here.
David Wilder is the spokesman for Hebron's small Jewish community. The city, which is mostly Palestinian Arab, is home to Judaism's second holiest site, the Cave of the Patriarchs.
This is the Cave of the Patriarchs in Hebron. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Rebekah, Sarah, Leah, the patriarchs, the matriarchs of the land of Israel, of the Bible, they're all buried here.
You cannot let terrorism determine how you live and where you live. If you know that this is your home and this is where you're supposed to be, what would be more normal for a Jew to live in the city of Hebron?
In withdrawing from Judea and Samaria, Israel would not only be giving up a huge part of its past, it could be harming its future.
God forbid Palestinian terrorists, Hamas terrorists would be standing here. They would be basically in total control. And they won't need long-range missiles. They could reach basically to every town and city in this area.
Yuli Edelstein is a member of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet. He lives not far from Jerusalem in the Judean town of Gush Etzion, another area the UN once cleared of Jews.
Without our total control here in these areas, I think we won't be able even to run a normal country here.
Edelstein told CBN that some of the same forces that oppose Israel's presence in these areas are also hostile to the U.S.
If the bad guys can do it to Israel as a democracy and can turn us into demons and apartheid and fascists and you name it, basically they can do it to every democracy, United States included.
President Obama makes his first presidential visit to Israel in March, and discussions over the future of Judea and Samaria are sure to be on his agenda with Prime Minister Netanyahu. Eric Stackelbeck, CBN News, reporting from Judea and Samaria.
Up next, a Florida woman gives her husband the gift of a lifetime. CBNNews.com. News you want, when you want, 24/7.
Stay current with up-to-the-minute stories.
Efrem Graham, CBN News, New York.
I don't have to wait for my news anymore. CBNNews.com at your fingertips all day long.
I only watch the stories I want to see.
I find the story, I click on it, and boom, I'm there.
Embassy in Washington, Eric Stackelbeck, CBN News.
The source for your news, CBNNews.com.
Listen up for an amazing offer that can change the way you hear.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you repeat that?
Frustrated with your hearing?
What did he say?
Well, hear better now. Introducing the fully rechargeable MSA 30X, a revolutionary device that features the latest microsound amplification technology that can barely be seen. Independently tested to help you hear up to 30 times better. It turns ordinary hearing into extraordinary hearing. MSA 30X works by capturing and amplifying sound waves, yet its lightweight ergoacoustic design is discreet. It form-fits in and around either ear.
I forget I'm even wearing it.
And MSA 30X is powerful. Hear clearly in restaurants. Never miss another word on TV or at the movies.
My wife complains that I have the volume up on the TV too loud.
And I didn't want to be in the same room with them.
Now I can hear everything clearly.
Simply adjust the volume as you desire. Other units use so many batteries and they're difficult to change. But the MSA 30X is completely rechargeable. Simply plug it into the wall.
I tried other devices that had batteries, but they were always such a pain to change and so costly. But this is rechargeable, so I figure I save hundreds a year.
Bulky sound amplifiers can cost hundreds, but try MSA 30X for just $59.95 and we'll include a cleaning brush and 5 comfort tips. But wait, in this special TV offer, we'll cut the price in half. Now you can hear up to 30 times better for just $29.95. But there's even more. We'll double the offer free. Just pay additional processing and handling. Wear them both or give one to a loved one. Did you hear that? That's 2 MSA 30Xs for just $29.95. The MSA 30X Hear Better Now offer. Get 2 for just $29.95.
All I can say is just try it. It could change your life.
To order the MSA 30X sound amplifier, call 1-800-535-0654. That's 1-800-535-0654. Or you can go to MSA30X.com. Call or go online now.
Many couples exchange gifts for Valentine's Day, of course.
Yeah, a Florida woman gives her new husband the most meaningful gift of all, life. Married just about a year ago, Melissa DeJaso Jones went under the knife this week to share one of her kidneys with her husband. James Jones has suffered his whole life with kidney disease. Melissa knew that in order to have a lifetime of love, he would need the life-saving surgery. The miracle was that the two were a perfect match.
We're compatible in love and then are now immunologically compatible as well, which is what makes this a unique situation, a beautiful story.
To be perfectly healthy and elect to have surgery, it shows the love and true compassion that one person can really have. And it will take me a lifetime of reciprocation. My wife's my hero.
Oh, that's beautiful. Now healthy, the two plan to finally have their honeymoon. Melissa wants to go to Costa Rica. He wants Fiji. Guess who wins? Melissa.
Yes, and she deserves it.
Costa Rica it is.
Yeah. What an example of being one flesh right
Absolutely.
there for each other. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. That's what the Bible says.
That's what marriage is all about. Yep.
Well, that's going to do it for this edition of NewsWatch.
Yeah, remember you can email us your comments and questions at newswatch@cbn.com. Hope you'll join us next time. Have a great weekend.
Good night.